Hello and welcome. This is Captain Aquarius coming to you again as Dan First on Christmas Day of 2016 with the last of the 15-minute videos that I have made this year about the lunations of this very turbulent and transformative year. The chart that you see here is cast for New York, New York at 1:52 a.m. on December the 29th. This is the time when the black moon is exactly in effect. How can you tell that this is a black moon chart? Well, you look at the third house of the chart and you see that the moon and the sun are in exactly the same position at 7 degrees and 59 minutes of the sign of Capricorn. This is incidentally the black moon that was always traditionally associated in ancient times with what are called New Year's resolutions made on or around January 1st, because this black moon is the time when we consider our lives in more serious and focused Capricornian, Saturnian terms in order to decide how we are going to make the disciplined, determined effort to make our lives better, to accentuate the qualities in us that are most honest and loving and devoted to the service of the other lives around us. So what do we see in this chart, and why is it cast for New York, New York? Because that city is indeed the epicenter of the entire economic and financial system of the planet. And this is the time, naturally, when there is going to be enormous effort going on overtly and behind the scenes on the part of those who are the powers that in time will no longer be, to decide what they are going to do to save themselves from the inauguration of Donald Trump. The effective actions on their part are going to be very likely taken at the full moon of January 12th, which is an even more powerful alignment than what we see here. And so let's look at the chart itself. In the third house, which is the house of business and communications, we see in a conjunction with the black moon. That is the moment when the sun and moon are in exact alignment in the same position in the zodiac, that Mercury, the communicator and the messenger, is also there in the house that he rules, because Mercury rules indeed the third house of communications. So this is emphasized at this time, and there is at least going to be a great deal of talking going on, even if there is not actual communication happening. The other planet, however, that is also in the third house is the one that deserves our special attention. This is the planet Pluto, the lord of death and regeneration, and we notice his very interesting relationship to the planets that we see in the 12th and the 6th houses. In the 12th is the planet Jupiter, looking like the number 4. This is abundance, expansion, optimism, the bank, the large and important institutions of authority, such as governments and courts of law, hospitals and universities. When he is on his game, he represents prosperity and expansion and the rule of law in a spirit of justice. When he is afflicted, however, then different elements of him come out. Opposite to Jupiter's position in the afflictive point of being in the 6th house, also at the 20 degrees of the opposite sign, is Uranus the revolutionary, who looks like the letter H with the little ball hanging from the crosspiece of his sign. Uranus is change, innovation, revolution, the bringing of things that can no longer be stopped or postponed. However, when Uranus is off his game, when he is afflicted, as he is here by Jupiter and also by Pluto, he becomes a kind of trickster who enjoys shock for the sheer entertainment value of watching other people's discomfort. the combined arrangement that these three planets make, with Jupiter and Uranus opposite to each other and Pluto angled at 90 degrees to both, is called a T-cross. And it is naturally afflictive because the angle of 90 degrees is often associated with stress, difficulty, with disharmonious tension of the kind that we can expect now, as indeed there is a great deal of stress and pushing going on between Jupiter, who represents established institutional order, and Uranus, who is the one who aims to overthrow it. And Pluto is there, acting like the cosmic dump truck, who is there to carry away the debris of what is about to undergo its transformation. So this combination then is naturally difficult, it is naturally turbulent. And we look at what else is going on here in the fourth and fifth houses. In the fourth, we see the same combination that we have noted in a lot of these other videos, where the moon's node, the upside down horseshoe, which is there at 4 degrees of Pisces, is effectively still in a conjunction with Neptune, who is there at 9 degrees of Pisces in the fifth house. These two, as we see, are gradually moving away from each other, and soon they will be at a distance of 5 degrees or more, and their relationship that has been present in 2016 really dissolves. However, they are pulled back into relationship here by the planet Mars, which is between them in the sign of Pisces, and therefore we are going to see a continued occurrence of the kinds of events that we have noted in the latter months of 2016, when the effect of Neptune on the south moon's node, which is the splitting, dissolving force in our relationships, is so often associated, as we have seen it happening so many times, in relationships that are foundering and are splitting apart because long concealed Neptunian deceptions and lies are finally coming out with their predictable effect in troubling and even breaking the relationship. And even those relationships that manage to get through are going to have to find their ways of renegotiating trust between the partners now that the dishonesties have come out into the air, and they wonder indeed whether they can trust each other from here on in. What is happening also when Mars is in Pisces, his energy as the warrior who wants to drive bravely toward the achievement of his goals, is very much muted by the presence of Neptune with his foggy and diffuse energy, the way indeed that Neptune prefers not to set clear boundaries, wants to dissolve them instead, so that it is much harder for Mars the warrior to go on the attack. And the effect of this at this time is that those who really want to move with courage and spirit toward what it is that they intend are having trouble deciding what indeed they are going after. So this has its interesting features here, and the other planet that is in Pisces here is in another relationship that it is important for us to talk about. If we look again at the fifth house, we see that right to the right of Mars is the planet Chiron the healer, who looks like the letter K. We see that he is at 21 degrees of the sign of Pisces and 2 minutes. And if we look over in the second house, we see that Saturn is over there at 21 degrees of Sagittarius and 4 minutes. So this is very, very close to being another one of those exact 90-degree squares, those angles of afflictive, disharmonious tension. How can we expect this to manifest? Well, we look at the role of Chiron in particular for a moment. He is called the wounded healer because in the Greek mythic story, he was the one who was capable of bringing brilliantly effective healing to everyone but himself. His energy flows in two directions: outward, in the energy of the medicine practitioner who is doing what he or she can to bring wholeness to other lives, or inward to the addressing of our own wound, whatever that is. Most people carry the chironic wounds of the missing love relationship, or the unhappy love relationship, or the chironic wound of ill health, or the chironic wound of the undiscovered purpose and the underutilized gift. When Saturn is in the afflictive 90-degree angle to this planet, what we can expect is that there is going to be a good deal of depressive Saturnian negativity concerning our ability to do anything to heal our situation. Naturally, those who have been most disappointed, most numbed by the election of Donald Trump are most likely to be the ones who are engaging in everything from negativity to judgment to despair, and therefore it is going to be a time when it seems as though it is impossible for what are really now two countries in the United States to come into alignment with each other, to see one another's point of view. And so this is obviously a very real problem as we experience it here. Other things, however, that we notice in the chart point to our ability at this time to do very effective work to coalesce and to come into effective healing medicinal alignment with each other. We notice, for example, that Venus, who is above all the planet of attraction, of our ability to manifest what we intend, is there in the middle of the fourth house in the sign of Aquarius, which is the sign of innovation, revolution, of bringing about needed changes. This is also the sign that relates to friendship, to communal action, to social activity and social activism as well. Venus is in the perfect angle of relationship, the 120-degree trine with Jupiter, as we have seen him over there in the 12th house of the chart, in the sign of Libra. And so this means that the relationship of these two planets is very positive, and even though the trine may not be particularly dynamic in its nature, it is nevertheless a relationship of peace, of stability, of rest, in such a way that the very turbulent conditions that are present at this time toward the end of 2016 can indeed be mollified by the relationship between Venus and Jupiter, and for that matter, the relationship between Venus and the Libra ascendant over at the extreme left of the chart. As Libra is the sign of teamwork and partnership, this kind of combination naturally represents our ability to come into effective alignment with each other, so that instead of pushing only for what we intend, we are able to work more effectively for what is to the benefit of our communities, of our planet as a whole. As always, the resources that will help us to make the best of these difficult conditions are present if we will only see them and use them. This is the way that we are able to address the tension between Jupiter and Uranus, the fact that Venus is in that relationship of the 120-degree trine with Jupiter and the 60-degree sextile with Uranus. It is possible for peacemakers to bring healing and calm and insight to this situation. So let us focus then on the most positive results, on what we can do in the new year of 2017 to bring together the best possible peace and harmony.